sex trafficking, it's $155 billion a year industry worldwide. Every 30 seconds, a child is abducted. The average age, for a minor to be trafficked is about 12 years old. We're going to fight like hell. We're going to do everything we can to pull every child out of hell that we can, and we'll give our lives to. This is a hill that we're willing to die on, and we'll die on it if we need to.
You're talking about numbers, and I don't know if you're up to speed on the data. I'm not at the moment. What kind of numbers are we looking at this year? I do understand that month to month, it's been about the most we've ever had as far as illegal immigration. Do you know any totals on where we're at now? Well, for, I guess the year's over. Now that 2021 has passed, where did that land?
I would have to, you know what? Don't get me lying, Jeremy. Don't get me lying. There's so many reports and it changes all the time. It's a big problem. It's continuing to get worse. It's not getting better. When I was on Fox News with Julio Rosas, from Town Hall, he said he's going to be spending he said he hated to be the non-pessimistic one, but he said, it's not going to change. It's getting worse and worse. There's no infrastructure to handle it. We can't build the infrastructure fast enough. And now we found out that Mexico is only allowing 30 deportations a day along our southern border. Well, when you got, let's just call it a round number, 5,000 a day coming in. Let's say it's 5,000, but you can only import or deport 30 a day.
Yeah.
Well, that adds up pretty quick. And then
how does Mexico have any power over how many people we deport? I mean, I figured that's kind of the tail wagging the dog, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't speak attorney, and man, I don't know. I don't know how they have that power, but yeah, I guess they only will allow 30 deportations a day. Well, that's not going to put a dent in anything. And so, what do we do with all the other thousands that are coming across? Well, what they're doing is they're giving them money and a bus ticket and say la vie, welcome to America.
Yeah. Well, you said 5,000 a day, and I know you were just giving an estimate there, but those are numbers that I've seen as pretty accurate, especially back earlier in the year, maybe 5,000 people a day crossing the border. That wouldn't just be tens of thousands. That would be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands, maybe, getting close to that big million number. But anyway, we can go look up the data on that. I wanted to ask you also about the big news story that broke 3-4 months ago. And it was the one where it's an illustration to me of the mentality of DC and the way that they want the American people to look at the border. And it showed, I believe it was pretty dangerous spot, a lot of voodoo and stuff down there.
Oh,
anyway,
Haiti.
Yeah. So the big news story broke and you had Border Patrol agents on horseback, right? And it showed these Haitian guys kind of running, whatever. A lot of it was still images, and it was a horse's reins that were kind of just, bowed out. And they said, looks like Border Patrol agents are using whips. And, Biden and Kamala come out and they say, we've got to punish this kind of behavior. And they got rid of, instead of worrying about illegal immigration, they said, let's get rid of horses on the border. Is that correct?
That is correct. And Greg Abbott said, okay. I don't even think he tried to fight it. He said, because Greg Abbott could have said no. Texas is still, we're a state. And so he could have said no, but he did not. I think the optics, the left did just a fantastic job of demonizing Border Patrol for that situation. It was a still shot taken out of, the whole event. And everything.
Well, the video showed it was completely innocent. It was just
exactly. The left got what they wanted. They got a still picture that made it all look what it completely wasn't. But that's the left for you. That's what they're going to do. They're going to drive home whatever narrative they can, and they don't care who they demonize or what reputation that they put on the line. They'll drag anybody through the mud as long as they get their narrative.
Yeah. Well, Samuel, if there was no hope, because you talked earlier about that there was somebody that was, kind of a pessimist about the whole thing. It's easy to look at what's going on and in the direction it's going, that it's not going to get any better. But you wouldn't do this if there was no hope. I would think that there's something in your heart saying, I'm making a difference. Even if things are bad or bleak, your group is making a difference. And there's others like you out there. How would you say that you're making a dent? And what's a plan of victory for this whole thing? Can you see a positive path forward?
Yeah, well, when we first got into Kinney County, they had six deputies for the sheriff's department. They had a DPS presence and zero National Guard. Now they have National Guard along 277 from Val Verde all the way to Maverick County. They have three more reserve deputies, and they have a larger DPS presence. And so I think we're our message is getting out there. We are making a difference, and I think that difference, whether small or big, it's definitely happening. I believe it's happening on a bigger scale, but it's baby steps. It's such a fluid environment. Sometimes you feel like you're saving the world one day, and the next day you get hit with hoops that they light on fire. You got to jump through those and the obstacles that you have to overcome, and it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, and it can be frustrating. It can be very frustrating. But the good news is, again, Democrats on the border, elected officials, are fed up too. So they're more willing to have conversations with us. Judge Lewis pulled us in his office. We had a great candid conversation. Same with Sheriff Martinez a few times. I'd meet with Sheriff Coe regularly. But it's all going to be a team effort. Yes, I think there is a path to victory, but it's going to take all of us. It's going to take more than PFA militia. It's going to take more than the National Guard or DPS. What it's mostly going to take is people in Austin to get on the same page, and let's fight this thing. Let's fight this battle. Let's do it humanitarianly, right? Let's do it peacefully if we can, but let's fight it together. You have too many people with too many opinions in Austin, and all these wheels turning and nothing's getting done, or very little. The legislative process is slowing just everything down. You got good people like Senator Bob Hall. You got good people, in Austin that want to help, but their hands are being tied, and it's all just political infighting and smoke and mirrors. If we can all get on the same page, I think we can make a bigger difference. PFA militia, I will say this, Jeremy, one of the things that we have very much going for us is our message. Militia that term's been demonized so well by the left that, people think of militia, they think, right wing, white, racist, people,
Yeah.
no, we keep that hate rhetoric out of PFA. We don't allow any kind of racism or hate rhetoric. We're a very diverse group of patriots. We don't see skin color. We see content of character. We want to know that you bleed red, white, and blue, that you defend our Constitution, that you're a constitutionalist. You believe in standing on the foundational principles of our nation that our founding fathers founded us on. That is our core values. And so having that message out there is what, honestly, Jeremy, it's been well, everybody's going to still talk. You can say all the right things. You're still going to have haters,
Sure.
no matter what. But that's helped, I think, reach across the aisle to Democrats and these different elected officials in these counties, and really understand who we are, and that we're there for the right reasons, with the right message, to do it the right legal constitutional way. And it's taken time. Only time's going to build that trust. But having the right message, yeah, it's been foundational for us.
That's great. And one more question that I would be remiss if I didn't ask, but sex trafficking is a big part of your heart in terms of rescuing people out of that mess. And I think a lot of people don't understand. Could you speak for a minute on that whole trade that's going on and how the border is affecting it? I've got a good friend that's in Atlanta, and I was talking about sex trafficking at the border, and he's like, well, man, sex trafficking is kind of bad. He's not heartless. This is a guy with a heart,
right?
But he's also kind of, middling in his political views. He didn't want to lend either side too much credit. So his response was, well, there's a lot of sex trafficking everywhere, especially in Atlanta. But I know the border is it's kind of a filter, right, for the rest of the country. And it's really dark, especially what's going on with children. And I wanted to give you a second to talk about that.
Yeah. So Jeremy, sex trafficking, it's $155 billion a year industry worldwide. The United States is #2 in the whole world for sex trafficking. Texas is the #1 state in the United States because we're a corridor state. And so, and then Texas, within Texas, you have Houston and Dallas are the two #1 cities. Dallas is now #1. It took over from Houston. Houston was #1 and Dallas was #2, so they flipped. But that should show you how they're coming up and now Dallas is number one. And so it, you know, every 30 seconds a child is abducted, right? The average age, for a minor to be trafficked is about 12 years old. And then the average length span is about 6 to 7 years. So Jeremy, over that 6 or 7 years, the average time that they're raped is 6,000 times. And so it's a product that they see as a product, not as a human being, right? They see it as a product, and it's a reusable product for them, unlike cocaine or drugs where you use it once and you got to refill the product. Well, this is you can reuse this product, as they so, thousands of times, and a lot of girls end up committing suicide or dying. It's not just girls, it's boys as well, but it's mostly girls. It's just an awful, horrible industry that is ran and led by men with no value for human life. And these are very evil people. And so, but there's wouldn't be a supply, Jeremy, if there wasn't a demand. And the United States is the number one consumer of the drugs. And of course, in human trafficking, is although we're number 2 in the world, just behind the Philippines, I mean, we're still number 2 in the world.
Yeah, right.
And so it's gosh, it's an evil that we're not going to win until Christ comes back. Honestly, I mean, the evil is going to prevail and exist, but we're going to fight like hell. We're going to do everything we can to pull every child out of hell that we can, and we'll give our lives. This is a hill that we're willing to die on, and we'll die on it if we need to.
Yeah, well, I very much respect, support, and love your mission. How do we get educated? If somebody wanted to watch a documentary, like you mentioned, RGV Truth, I don't know if that's a documentary or what, but what's something somebody could consume to learn and educate themselves on these issues?
There's lots of information out there on getting educated on sex trafficking. You can go to YouTube and sex trafficking education, just pop that in there, and you can get quite a few videos just that way. The world's at your fingertips as far as that's concerned. There's also some organizations, Underground Railroad, you have Treasured Vessels Foundation, you have Ranch Hand Rescue. You have a lot of organizations that have some content out there that you can go to their websites. One of our partners is Treasured Vessels Foundation. They have a campus in Collin County where they house and care for and provide food and medical and dental and professional counseling for girls that come out of sex trafficking. And so, they have some content on their website that could be helpful and useful as well. And then that's how you can educate yourself and start getting the information you need to make better impact that you want to make, whether it's boots on the ground or whether it's being a prayer warrior, whatever it has to be. But if you want to go to our website, Jeremy, if any of your viewers want to visit us, you can go to www.patriots4americamilitia.com. That's all spelled out. It's patriots4americamilitia.com. You can click on our media tab. You can see all the, a bunch of interviews and really understand our message. You can also click on our partners tab and go to Answer International or Treasured Vessels Foundation and look at their message and what they do. Answer International, they've rescued over 5,000 kids in 54 countries since 2004. They do a huge work internationally. So, and Matt Shelton is their CEO. So, yeah, it's a big effort. It's the biggest mountain to conquer. But I serve a God that can move mountains, and so that's the hope that we have. We serve a big God.
That's right.
No mountain's too big for him.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Samuel. We really appreciate your time. I appreciate your time and very much support your mission. And man, God be with you. And I look forward to coming down and visit you sometime in Texas.
All right. Yes, sir.
All right, Samuel. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you, sir. Bye.